For more than 2 decades, I have written in a diary almost every single day. And guess what? I saved them all. Each week, I will be reading from these archives and getting to know myself from the lens of my 10, 16, 25, and 36-year-old self. We'll explore big topics such as body image, queerness, divorce, addiction, mental health, and friendship. I'll read cringy poems and attempt to find compassion for the painful tenderness of my younger self. Join the drama of me and my guests as we explore our boy-crazy, closeted, angsty selves, one stupid page at a time. Hello, beautiful humans. I hope everyone is having whatever kind of day you need to have today. I am in a phase where I am trying to get back on track with a couple of things that have just sort of slipped for me in the last little season of life. I'm trying to get back into daily meditation and also getting to the gym first thing in the morning, because if I don't go in the morning, then I am unlikely to go. I'm not really someone who likes the gym necessarily, but I do notice that it has given a massive improvement to my mental health. So I try to go. How's everybody doing out there? My last episode was my most popular episode yet, and it was so fun getting to meet Julie and chatting with her, and have had a couple people reach out to see about being guests on the podcast. So I just want to let you know that I'd love to have you as a guest on the podcast if you've got diaries from your past that you'd really like to read, or something else that's cool to talk about. I'd love to have you as a guest. So feel free to apply. You can go to my website, www.doulaofwords.com, and apply there, or you can email me, yoda@thedoulaofwords.com. Either way, I'm excited for what's to come with this podcast, and I'm also excited to get into this particular diary. It's a good one. Emo level is high, angst level through the roof. I have just entered grade 10. I'm 15 years old, and it's September. This is the diary that follows the diary that I read, not on my last episode, but on my last solo episode, where I am pining over a boy named Corey. We've got a real will they, won't they vibe going on. And most of that episode, I talk a lot about these two worlds that I'm kind of straddling. I've got a foot in each one. I'm still a kid, and I'm trying to hold on to my childhood. I'm trying to hold on to my innocence and a sense of ease. And then on the other hand, I can't wait to grow up, and a lot of grown-up things are happening around me. And I am also partaking in a lot of grown-up things. And, I'm 15, so my hormones are raging, and I'm pretty boy crazy at this point. And I really, truly do have these kind of like 3 social groups that are all sort of intermingling. And when they intermingle, it makes me really uncomfortable, because I think I don't know who to be when they intermingle. When they're separate and I'm just in one social group at a time, it's more clear like who I'm meant to show up as, who I'm expected to be. So I have my childhood friends, Katie, Jason, a bunch of other friends that I went to like elementary school with. And then I have my new school friends, my new high school friends who I've only known for a year. And they're kind of in the same boat as me in the sense that they are, they're probably feeling like they have a foot in both of these worlds. And then I have my older group of friends, my boys, I call them. They are friends who I know through my older sister, who I don't go to school with because they're all out of school, but I hang out with on weekends and I party with. And these are the friends that I'm getting into like drinking and hard drugs with. However, I'm about to mesh these worlds a little bit, and the more I mesh them, the more complicated it gets. So yeah, it's a complicated time, and it really comes out in this journal. I want to start out though with an entry that I wrote. Again, it's September 6th, 2003. I think it's probably my first week back to school. And this is the reason I'm reading this entry though, is because it just highlights the fact that I'm just like a clueless teenager who like doesn't really know anything. And also I'm on this quest to like know more about myself and the people around me. And I just think it's a sweet introduction to like what's going on in my world, how important my social life is to me. And it kind of introduces a few of those characters as well. So at this point, I'm starting my diaries with you, comma. So I'm addressing, instead of Dear Diary, it's you. Last night was great. It was a lot of things, actually. A lesson, a stress reliever, a goodbye, an open door. Most of all, though, it was a memory. I went to Shannon's. That's, again, a friend that I've made in high school, a new friend that you'll probably hear more about. I went to Shannon's after school. It was me, Amanda, her, and Sherry. We hung out for a while, laughed at the cats. Then it was just me and Shannon for a bit. We walked to Tim Hortons, talked about Alex and Cassie and food and Steve, and it was refreshing. I'm not going to lie and say I like Shannon because she's nice. She's not. Shannon's a bitch and everyone knows it, but that's why I like her. Cassie got there, and so did Graham and Dave. Again, these are characters that I've made friends with in the last year. We're all trying to like figure each other out. We're all like, you know, kind of lonely and like kind of popular and kind of confused, and I think we all have the commonality that we all have is that like we all want to grow up. We're not wanting to stay in this label of like we're these cute kids. We want to be grown up. So Cassie got there, and so did Graham and Dave. We hung out. I went to Graham's to meet up with Alex. We hung out there for a long time. I laughed so hard as me and Graham made a bunch of inside jokes. Dave complimented my ass, which, well, who doesn't like a compliment from a guy like Dave? We played soccer and smoked a bowl and had a good time. Eventually, we got a ride to Amanda's because her parents weren't home. On the way, I sat next to Dave, and I thought of hooking up with him. I've thought about it before, but the timing has always been off, with Sandra and Laura and Nicole, and then me with Corey. But it seems that him and Laura broke up, and Corey doesn't want anything to do with me, so those obstacles are gone. We got there to see Sherry and Sarah already there. I know Sherry kind of has a thing for Dave, but in my tipsiness, I flirted with him anyways. It was fun. We were all drinking and laughing hysterically, playing pool, running around. Me and Graham did gymnastics outside and went for walks. Me and Dave were alone for a long time, outside, talking about our home lives. Inside, we played pool and darts. I'm so comfortable with him, and I always have been. Everyone crashed eventually, Graham and Amanda in one room, Shannon and Alex in the other. I admit I was a little envious of their situations and relationships, so again, I ignored Sherry's feelings and lied close to Dave. We held hands and laid real close, and I could feel his breath on my face. Our feet were intertwined to keep each other warm, and I couldn't help but feel at home with him. Part of me was glad it was Dave. Although other people crossed my mind, part of me was glad that Dave, one of the hottest guys at Dorchester, wants to be laying here with me. Not Nicole or Sandra or Laura or Sarah, me. But part of me couldn't ignore thinking or yearning for Corey. I looked at Sarah, so pretty and thin and funny. No wonder why Corey likes her. part of me conversed with Cassie, that part of me conversed with Cassie today, who asked if anything might happen with Dave and I. I already went through this earlier this year. Same issues with Sherry liking him and me liking Corey. I'm one to talk about fucking leading people on. Don't lead Sherry on, I told him, when I spent all night flirting with someone who I have no intentions of being with. Or do I? Anyways, it was a great night, and I'm glad I was a part of it. So I think what that entry highlights is just like how I am craving just being a kid. I want to go to someone's house and just like play darts and pool. And then I'm also being kind of torn into this, pulled into this love triangle, this drama, which I mean, of course I am creating for myself, of course. But the part that I really, noticed in that entry was when I admit that I'm still thinking of Corey. Most of this diary, I will admit, is just like me really trying to let my crush on this Corey person go, because I realize like he's not interested in me, or he says he is, but like he doesn't want a girlfriend, or he's like stuck between like two girls, me and Sarah. And it's just like, it's really painful for me. It's heartbreaking for me. I'm consumed by this will they, won't they question. And I'm also just trying to like live my life. But a couple days later, I wrote, a weird day. I felt sick and awful for the most part. People keep telling me to just let go of Corey, to say, fuck it, and move on to someone else. There's only one problem with that, though. I really don't want to. The thought of moving on to someone else before I have even tasted Corey makes my heart a little sad. But I fear I may have to, or at least let someone else in, because I'm really unhappy with the way things are going. So yeah, I'm kind of like trying to talk myself out of this crush. A couple days later, we have like the freshman dance. So a bunch of us go to this dance, and Corey's there, I'm there. We have some conversations, but basically we all get together before the dance and take Dexedrine, I guess. I don't know, Dex. It was like a popular drug when I was in high school in 2003, or maybe it wasn't. It was just popular like with my circle of friends. I believe like one of the people in the group, I'm not sure who, had like some diagnosis for some like learning disability or something, and they were on this drug called Dexedrine. I think it was similar to Ritalin, but we all like to take it before school dances. So this diary entry is September 12th, 2003, and it goes like this. I'm such a loser and a fuck up and a nothing. I've been crying for 2 days straight. It took all my energy today not to break down. So starting from yesterday, I came home, went to work, did my hair, and left the house feeling relatively confident. I thought so many times about how I might make a move on Corey. I got there at 7-ish. Graham told me I looked pretty and gave me a kiss on the cheek. We all took Dex, including Corey. We went to the dance. Probably about 3/4 of the people were fucked up when they got there. I was having fun, did the usual, mingled, hugged people, danced, and laughed. It went by fast. I danced with Chris Hope. It was weird seeing him, but nice because I like being around people who like me back. I danced with Corey once too. And then I put like a little block where it's like me, like dialogue. So me, what I said. So I hear you're asking Sarah out. Corey. I don't know. I'm fucked. Me, ... Corey. I got into 2 girls and now someone's feelings are going to get hurt. Oh man, I'm so fucked up. What I wanted to say was the damage is already done. My feelings are already hurt. So just make your choice so I can move on. But I didn't say that, and I left it at that. After the dance was over, I thanked I'll leave that blank. I thanked blank for the decks and gave Dave a hug, regardless of the fact that he kind of fucked me over by going out with Nicole again. I left with Sarah, Corey, Katie, Justine, and Steve. Although I don't even know who some of those people are, to be honest with you. I'm like, who's Justine? Although Corey looked pretty good with his mohawk and everything, I had a hard time keeping my eyes off Steve. Oh, Nick Lachey, back in the picture. Damn. He was shirtless and sweaty. ... Hot. Okay. So we walked to Sarah's, then me, Katie, and Corey went back to his house. Oh, I don't remember that. I wonder why we did that. His house was nice, a lot different than I thought. His room was nice too. Red walls, broken hockey sticks everywhere. His bed bottle, whatever that is. It saddens me because this is probably the last time I'll ever see his room. So I eventually left after 12. Dad was mad when he came to pick me up and grounded me. I came home crying, a combination of being grounded and tired, stuff with Dave, stuff with Corey. I came and cried in Genevieve's bed, and she petted my head for some time. So obviously what's going on at this dance is like I take drugs, I have a hard conversation, I'm torn between like all of these feelings I have for all of these boys. I call my dad to pick me up. He does. He grounds me because I think because he could tell that I was like on drugs or whatever, or just because it was so late, or I'm not sure why. And then I just start crying because I'm just so overwhelmed. Like I'm just completely flooded and dysregulated. This morning, I was pretty dead. I skipped the Freshie Olympics and went to the picnic tables. Grant was talking about how he thinks I should get a green coat. Grant's an all right guy. Cassie and Bush made sure I was okay. Rochelle and I skipped second period. She cheered me up. It's good to know someone is here to support my shitty habits. Auto was weird. I wrote this in class. I fucked up, and I'm sick of fucking up, and I'm getting fucked over. Kyle and what's her name, Jay and Kelly, Dave and Nicole, and now Corey and Sarah. I'm sick of being alone, not having anyone to spend my nights with or spend my days with. I'm starting to think my stupidity and selfishness caused me to chase those things away, and now I'm searching for it in lost causes. That's what Corey is, a lost fucking cause. So yeah, I'm definitely being very hard on myself. Very, very, very hard on myself. Like I said, I'm very dysregulated. I'm very flooded with emotions. I have very few coping skills. And the ones that I do have are not very healthy coping skills. So let's see what happens with that. One of the most emo entries I think I've ever seen in a journal or anywhere ever. I've cut out some photographs, I think from a magazine, of just like a hand holding a hand and like a shoulder being rubbed and like two heads pressing together, and I've pasted them all over the page. And I wrote, like, I think it's kind of meant to be a poem, but the entry before, it's like, I say, maybe if Corey and me are meant to be, we will be. And if that means he has to be with Sarah to realize that, then that's fine too. And in the meantime, I'll just have to spend time with my friends and maybe try my best not to feel lonely. Maybe during that time, I'll find another beautiful boy to occupy myself with. And then I write this kind of like poem that says, For months now, I've been waiting for you to make your choice, and now that you have, I suppose I should thank you. Thank you for finally breaking me. Soon I will be better, and I will be able to move on and find someone else, but until that day comes, my heart lies with you. And until that day comes, I'll continue to yearn for you and wonder where I went wrong. Maybe someday I'll figure all this out, and I'll understand why you did what you did. And I'll smile because I'll know everything worked out the way it was meant to. So yeah, my heart is broke and I'm feeling, I'm feeling a lot of feelings about it. And literally like 10 days later, I'm back at the Thorndale Fair, y'all. I think I wrote about it last year. The Thorndale Fair. It was weird, but great. This is September 20th, by the way, so not very much time has passed since I basically, said my goodbyes, I'm putting that in quotes, to Corey. I got there and I met up with Katie and Megan. We saw Usselman and... what does that say? I can't read the name, but... we saw Usselman and Blank just as we were talking about them. Haha. He looked good like I remember. Tall, tan, nice teeth, all black. Eyes like Corey. We hung out for a bit. I went on a ride with Katie. Spoke to Grant for a while. Smoked a bowl. Played a game with Jeremy. I walked around with Usselman for quite some time. We laughed and joked and made fun of each other. It was familiar. I don't know if I've introduced this character before. I know that in my last journal that I read, where I read about the pool party, I wrote about the pool party. So there's this character named Usselman who... I met him through a friend. He didn't go to our school, but I met him through a friend. He came to Katie's surprise party the summer prior to grade 10. And he had this element to him because he wasn't from our school, you know, he had this mysterious element to him. And also he was fucking hot. He was... yeah, he was just very tall and lean, and he was a musician, and he had this curly hair. He was very good looking, and I think I was too heartbroken and immersed in what was going on with Corey to fully notice fully notice Usselman. But I think that it's funny reading back, and something actually is just about to happen with this Usselman character that's going to get me over Corey real fast, kind of, but not really. I decided to walk Usselman home to where he was staying. He was drunk, and he said, "No, I want to stay here with you." I really wish he hadn't got so drunk. He told me I was a tease for claiming that I would make out with him and then backing out because he was too drunk. So we stood there for a while hugging. I told him I had to go, but I gave him a quick kiss first. It was so nice because he seemed like he wanted it. I wish we could have stayed there kissing for a little longer, but we had to part. He tasted like beer, and I probably tasted like smoke, but I guess it didn't matter. It felt good, ... being desired. So this is an interesting take on the night because I, for a long time, have told a different story about this night. So the way that I thought this went down was that, my first, kiss with this Usselman character was, I actually thought it happened earlier. I thought he was my first kiss, but I think Steve was probably my first kiss. And I thought that we were standing under a street lamp, and he took me in his arms and we kissed, and it was very romantic. But it turns out that he was super drunk and basically was you said you'd make out with me. And so I kissed him, and he tasted like beer, and like, I don't know, it just like didn't play out the way that I thought it did in my mind. I don't know how much I continue to write about this Usselman character. Him and I have like a mutual crush on each other for probably years after this night, but we never end up getting together. This is the only time that we ever kiss until until how many years later? Like 14 years later, we kiss again in his car. But this is the only time I'm like, should I tell this story now? No, I think I'm going to wait until we get to that journal. Maybe I'll read that journal next week, but basically we kiss at the fair when he's drunk, and I'm kind of like not really that into it, but we do have this like supercharged crush on each other for a long time, years and years and years. And then finally, when we're both adults, like we're both single, and we basically like have this makeout in his car. We still don't get together. So we're not meant to be together, but there is like a good friendship between us in 2003 and like for the next decade or so. But it's a confusing friendship because, like I said, we do have like the hots for each other a little bit. So yeah, that was an interesting kissing story that happened differently than I thought. So next up, I want to read these two entries back to back. They are just a day apart. So September 27th, I'm with my high school friends. Then September 28th, I'm with this group of like older friends. I think it's a Friday night versus a Saturday night. And I just want to read them back to back so you can kind of see like where I'm at in terms of like this, how important these people are in my day-to-day life. So September 27th, I stayed in Dorchester last night. That's the town my high school's in. Shannon ditched, but I guess I'm kind of glad because I ended up having a lot of fun. I went to Sarah's with Amanda, Justine, Megan, and Sherry. It was actually so fun. Today, I went to watch their basketball game at school, but it was so boring. It probably wasn't boring. I'm just like not into sports. I hung out with Dave and Nicole for a bit. I guess I'm happy for them. I'm more worried than happy, though. I'm not really sure why I was worried about them. I can't remember anything about their relationship dynamic, but then I went for a walk with Bush. She opened up to me. It was wonderful knowing that I've made friends with people that are smart about life and can teach me things. I went outside, ran into Corey and Ben. I started to walk with them because I missed my ride home. Me and Corey walked together ahead of Ben and talked. He agreed to walk me to Sarah's house, and we talked the whole way. It was so normal. We talked about our childhoods and sisters and about people in general. I told him he was good looking, but I never really got to say anything more than that. He dropped me off, we hugged, and I went in. Sarah, me, Justine, Amanda, and Sherry all went to Tim Hortons and saw Corey and Ben there again. When we were there, we threw spitballs at each other and had thumb wars and just laughed. Then we went to the skate park for a while too, and everyone hugged as they said goodbye. We went back to Sarah's. We had so much fun. We had a shaving cream fight and played pool and screamed. So that's like night one. And then the next night, I'm out with the older boys that I hang out with. So September 28th. Jay's last night was a blast. Even though I'll just say Dee was there, and Jay seems to think she's the only thing that matters right now. So obviously this is Jay's new love interest. Part of me pities her because she really has to try hard not to seem like a stuck-up snot, but her efforts are very useless because she always seems like that. So I apparently don't like Jay's new girlfriend. Okay. I laughed a lot with everyone. Fraser, who was his usual funny self, made everyone laugh till we literally cried. Jeremy and I play fought like we usually do. It's so nice how he isn't like a grown-up and can be a kid still. Lou came for a little while. Bucket was nice to me as always. It was so nice, all of us together laughing. I definitely had too much to drink and ended up puking my guts out when I got home. I was trying to be quiet because I knew if Dad knew how much I had to drink that I would get in more trouble. I'm still technically grounded, but he let me go out tonight. I hoped he couldn't smell my breath when he picked me up. So, like, duh. I mean, obviously I reeked when I got in the car, but I don't know. Apparently I didn't get in trouble. Okay. We're about to go in a different direction. So, for the next couple weeks, it's just more of the same. I am really into the show One Tree Hill. I'm really trying my best to move on from Corey, let him and Sarah be together. I'm skipping a lot of school. I'm smoking a lot of weed. I write this entry on October 15th. I wonder if I'll be alone forever. I wonder if anyone will ever want me or if I'll ever figure myself out. I wonder if I'll ever fall in love. I wonder if I'll ever be willing to be with someone regardless of the downside. I wonder a lot of things on a rainy, cold, dark day like today. There has only been one time in my whole life when it was only one person on my mind. When I have had a span of more than 2 nights where I go to bed thinking of the same person. That was Corey. When I was with Steve, I had a constant backup list. Then, when I was all stuck on Jay, I still thought about Steve and so many others. But when I was into Corey, for a long time, he was literally the one and only person that I wanted to be with. And right now, I think I'm not at the point where I have it selected down to a few. God, that makes me sound like such a snob. But let's just say I've been considering a few people lately. Okay, so basically I'm lonely as fuck. I'm wondering if I'm going to be alone forever. I'm heartbroken. And I'm incredibly angsty. I go on to list 10 people that I'm like, I could be with him, I could be with her. And they're all people I've mentioned before, like low key. I just want to highlight like a few of them because I think listing. Oh no, sorry. There's actually 13. That's super embarrassing. The thing was like I guess I considered these 13 people having potential, but I actually didn't believe that any of them liked me like at all. So there's Dave, but he's with this girl, Nicole. So I say Dave and Nicole are happy, and I'm happy they're happy. I guess I should just face it that whatever him and me had once, he's with Nicole regardless. There's Jay, the much older guy that I had hooked up with the year previous. I said, Jay is sad right now. Him and Dee broke up yesterday, and I guess I'm kind of glad because I never really liked her much, but I'm sad that he's alone again, and there's not much I can do because I don't feel for him that way anymore. Then there's Steve, Nick Lachey. I say, I don't know why I reconsidered him. I must have been delusional. I think it was just that one night seeing him without his shirt on. I think I was just like had a hormonal peak. Then I say, lately people have been asking me about Grant. Sure, he's cute and funny and has certain qualities I like, but I don't think we're attracted to each other. And then there's Usselman. I haven't spoken to him in a while, and I don't miss him. I think of him seldomly, and I find it weird that I even consider because of the passion that I lack for him. So basically, like, I'm listing these people, and I'm just like kind of trying to rule them out. But I think the main message in this entry that got me was just like that loneliness, where I'm like, I'm feeling really hopeless about love. I'm feeling really hopeless about my shot at finding someone. And a lot of people around me are like pairing off, and I feel like I keep having these starts with people, but it like never goes anywhere. And then okay, October 19th. I ended up going to the party last night with a lot on my mind, with hopes that the boys wouldn't fail me and would take my mind off all that shit, and they came through. They did. I got there with Genevieve around 9. I can't totally remember the whole night. We were up literally all night, and it seemed like it went by so fast. I remember playing pool with Jay. I remember Usselman showing up, and he was so drunk and passed out on the couch and puked all over the front of his shirt. I think I lost respect for that guy last night. Me and Lou wrote each other notes back and forth. I think I made a joke that hurt his feelings, but I hope that, what does that say? He handled my apology. I can't really quite read that, but I think we're cool. Everyone eventually left. Grant got kicked out of his house, so he was staying at Jay's for the night. Me and him ended up lying on the couch together and just kind of held each other, ? It was nice, feeling close and needed by someone who is also a good friend and someone who I like to hang out with. We talked from 3 to 10. That's a.m., people. We talked from 3 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then Genevieve and I left. It was a good night. Okay, I want to flash forward to a little note that I wrote to myself on the very back page of this journal that says, it started like this. And then it lists the date of this entry. It started like this, October 19th, 2003. Then I make a little point form list that says this. Cocky grin, sideburns, style, head to toe green, music tastes, makes inside jokes and keeps them, asks important questions to make conversation, respects that my sister means more to me than any guy ever will, and will totally blow my mind. So, if you knew me then, you know the outcome of this party and this beginning. If you don't, get fucking ready, because it's a weird, wild story. There's so much going on in these next few pages. There's so much going on. There's a love triangle. There's a thing that happens with my bestie. There's a thing that happens with my sister. It's so dynamic. So I want to breathe, and I want to invite you to breathe. Like, I can't believe this was my life. I can't believe I survived this. Okay, a couple days, what day is this? A couple days after the 19th. Okay, it's October 26th. Katie has a house party at her house, and I list everyone who's there and my interactions with them. And then sometimes it just says somewhere between 1 and 3 a.m. I walk to Jay's. So Katie lives like in the town with like near all these houses that I like to party at. So sometime between 1 and 3 a.m. I walk to Jay's. Everyone was there. And I think I was just grumpy or maybe tired. I was not upset with Grant, But he did make fun of me because he said that I have been... Sorry, how does this... I was not upset with Grant, but he said that I have been ditching him at school lately. So when he asked, I agreed to walk him home. We talked the entire way there. When we got to his house, we stood out in the rain for some time talking. Okay, romantic. And then there's another bit of dialogue. Grant says, so you want to come in? I say, I better not. I got to get back to Katie's. Grant says, but if you didn't have to, would you want to? I guess I would want to because I'm lonely and Grant is a good guy that I could use for some experience and to have a blissful night with. Wow, that is rude. But I just don't want to get into a situation, in quotations, with him right now. Okay, so that's... Okay. A couple days later, on November 2nd, my sister reveals something to me, which is that... So Grant is kind of in both circles of friends because we did grow up together. He's 2 years older than me. He's my sister's age. And we are in school together. Like, he does go to my high school because I'm in grade 10. He's in grade 12. But he's also, like, hangs out with the boys as well. Like, he's kind of in all groups. But I've never really spent very much time with him or, like, noticed him that much before. I think he always felt like... he kind of felt kind of dorky to me. Like, I was never like, oh my God, he's so attractive or anything like that. And it just never felt like an option. But I guess, like, my sister reveals to me that her and Grant had, like, a bit of a crush on each other when they, you know, a year or so earlier. She ended up, like, being with her high school sweetheart for years and wasn't actually really interested in Grant. But they had a little, like, flirtation. So on November 2nd, I say, I made Genevieve sad last night. We went to Jay's and everything was going well. She kept asking me why I was grinning so much, and I really couldn't tell except for the fact that I only started grinning when Grant came in. When he came in was when everything started going downhill. As soon as me and Grant started talking, she got this sad look on her face and started sulking. Then she stormed outside, to which I followed. Outside, I asked her if me and Grant bothered her, to which she lied right to my face and said no. She said there was nothing to talk about, so I said fuck it and went inside. She stayed outside and got high with Nick. Inside, Grant and I talked. He wanted me to tell him the situation between Genevieve and I, but I told him he wouldn't understand, so we talked about other things. Grant says, this is bad. I say, why? Grant says, because you got into my head, Yoda. I'm still trying to decide how I feel about Grant. I still can't decide if I should mix friendships and relationships, and I'm still trying to decide if it would hurt me and Genevieve too much. The jokes with Grant during the night didn't feel right because when I got home, Genevieve was sad. So, yeah, it was a bit of a tricky dynamic for a while. And spoiler alert, things are going to get more complicated because the very next day, I'm hanging out with Katie, and she drops a bit of a truth bomb on me. Today after school, I heard Katie talk about Steve, and if it weren't for the project we had to do, I would have stormed off and not spoken to her. So for the first time in my life, I was at her house because I had to be. As soon as we got inside, we sat. Katie asks, why are you being so quiet? I answer, I'm afraid I might say something. Katie said, you can say anything. I say, I want to, but I know you'll deny it. Katie says, maybe I won't. Yoda, do you like Steve? Katie, ... yes. I went out for a smoke and came back in, and we did our project and never had that conversation, but then we went for a walk. So, yeah, Katie reveals to me that she has a crush on my ex-boyfriend, and I'm having a really tough time with it. So basically, the guy that I used to like is now getting involved with my best friend. The guy that I am in love with isn't interested in me and is interested in another girl. And the guy that I'm kind of starting a thing with used to have a thing with my sister. What the fuck? Like, talk about drama. So by November 9th, my sister has given me her blessing, essentially, to pursue something with Grant if I want. And Grant and I are seeing each other at school. We're seeing each other after school. We're seeing each other on weekends. And it's like we're both trying to figure out if this is something that we want to get involved in. And there's a party that happens on November 9th. I say, when I got there, I sat with Lou. He was talking to me and I got distracted. So he blurted out, "Sorry to waste your time." And that was the last time I saw or heard from him all night. Then I sat with Grant. He asked me to say absolutely anything. So I said, "Let's go smoke some ganja." Of course, he said, "Let's go." So we went outside on the bench and smoked a doobie. He asked me if my sister was still upset, and I told him that it seemed like everything had been smoothed out, and he had a huge grin on his face. Amber was down with her new boyfriend, who seemed really nice, which was really cool. Dave and Nick were both hammered. Genevieve and Fraser looked happy. Me and Grant sat there for 2 hours and talked. He asked me all sorts of questions. When was your last boyfriend? Do you actually want a relationship? If you were me right now, what would you do? It was great and it flowed so smoothly. Then Grant came outside and said he had to head home. And for some reason, I decided to walk him home, which he appreciated, I think. On the way, we spoke of all the usual things. Then, just as he did the last time, we stood in front of his house and he asked if I wanted to come in, but I had to reject it because I knew I had to make sure that it wouldn't hurt Genevieve. So we stood outside for a good hour making jokes, and he hit on me and we talked. Grant asked, "Could you stand here and talk to me all night?" I replied a little too eagerly, "Definitely." I gave him a poppy I had in my pocket and I told him to keep it. And he made me a deal that when I have totally blown his mind, he'd give it back to me. Haha. Who knows? ? I started to wonder last night if Genevieve is the only thing standing in my way. I'm scared that once we start doing shit, and what happens if I don't feel the chemistry for him? What happens if I don't feel the physical thing for him? I guess I just feel a little obligated now that I've started to lead him on. So anyways, actually, this part's important. I decided to walk back to Jay's instead of going home. When I got there, I realized I was alone for a moment. I ended up just sitting there for a long time, but then Amber and Jay came to chill with me. Then it was just me and Jay. He tried to kiss me, and it made me feel so bad that I had to pull away. I said, "I just don't really feel it anymore." We ended up talking about it, and I ended the conversation with, "Don't make it impossible for me to just sit here comfortably and have a conversation because that's why I love you." So this entry is really interesting. Obviously, there's a lot going on. I think my sister reassures me later that night or the next day. So literally one day later, this is so unhinged, one day later, November 10th, I am so lost, and I know I am making this so much harder than it has to be, and that makes me mad, but I know no other way. Sighs. I haven't been this frustrated in a long time. This time I am battling myself and my own selfishness. I do want to be with Grant. I am totally in love with every aspect of his personality. I am totally blown away by how we can have intense conversations and still laugh. I think I am falling for him. Corey who? Oh my gosh. It scares me so much because I know it will end badly. I know even if he is the best thing that has ever happened to me, I know that will end and that it will make things hard for the group. I know that because I am the way I am and he is the way he is, and I know that something will happen between us that will cause heartache. And I couldn't bear to have awkwardness in the group. That's why I've always thought I was better off than Genevieve, because I don't have any drama in the group other than with Jay. And then underneath I wrote, what am I talking about? And then I list like all the dramas that I have. But I don't want to add drama here because that's why I love it here, because it's an escape from the drama and stress and boy trouble of my regular life. And I need it to stay that way so badly. But on the other hand, I do still want to be with him. And now that Genevieve has told me that she's okay with it, I don't know what I'm waiting for. I guess I'd like to think that it's Corey, but I don't really feel like it is him. Sighs. Maybe I'm just insecure about myself, and maybe I'm not ready to have sex. And I totally know there would be pressure. But it's just such a perfect opportunity to be happy. I can almost feel how happy I could be with him. But I don't know if I have it in me. So many thoughts. Wow. November 16th. Genevieve and I just had an intense conversation about Grant. She told me that if I wanted him, I should definitely go for it. But she also said that if it takes me this much thought, then maybe it's not meant to be. But she told me that either way, he deserves the truth. The truth is, I do want to be with Grant. I want to go to his house and lie in his bed and hold his hand and smoke joints and make him laugh and blow his mind. And I want him to be an experience because it's always better to have more experiences than less experiences. So me and Grant chilled out and I told him that I don't want to disappoint him. He asked, how do you know it won't be me that disappoints you? And I told him that I didn't want to ruin our friendship. He said, oh, we're going to be friends forever. He told me I was pretty, which felt really nice coming from him because he did it in such an original way. He said he wanted to get to know me more, so he asked me all sorts of questions. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite type of dog? And we talked for a long time. But I didn't end up going home with him. I wonder if I'll see Corey on Monday. So yeah, I'm really, really, really confused. I'm really confused because I'm starting to have these feelings for Grant, and there's a lot of like reasons that it could work out. A lot of excitement, a lot of curiosity, and I'm just still like my heart is just still with someone else, and it's hard to not let it show. Something happens in an entry that I think it's easier if I just explain because the entry is like really long. And so a couple weeks after this, I'm still in the same spot. I'm still like haven't fully decided. I'm still kind of like hoping that Corey will come back around, but I'm also like don't want to lead Grant on. And there's this dance every year at the end of November or early December, where it's called like the semi-formal. And all through my high school years, like the semi-formal is just like this very big deal. It's like the biggest dance of the year. Everyone gets really dressed up. It's kind of like a mini prom before you go to prom. And I'm sitting in the cafeteria, and like I know for a fact that Grant is like way too cool to go to the semi-formal. First of all, he's in grade 12, so like he's actually going to go to prom that year. But he's too cool. He's too cool for school. He's too cool for like sports. He's too cool for like doing any school activities. He's definitely too cool to go to a school dance. But I think I want to go. Like I want to get dressed up with my friends. Like I want to participate. I'm also like kind of too cool, but I'm not like too cool yet. I'm borderline too cool for school, but I still have a little toe dipped in. And so I'm in the cafeteria one day, and we're talking about a bunch of kids my age, or we're all sitting together and we're talking about it. And Corey ends up like very casually asking me if I want to go to the semi-formal with him. I think he's joking. I literally like laugh out loud when he asks. And then this other guy at the table is like, I think he was seriously asking you. So then I had to be like, oh, like, do you mean it? And Corey was like, yeah. It was a very awkward exchange. Anyways, he ends up asking me. I end up saying yes. I'm so excited and thrilled to be going to the dance with Corey. But the timing of it feels a little bit rough because I've also kind of started to like open my heart to Grant. And it's very obvious to me and like my closest friends that like what happens at the semi-formal is going to like decide my future. It's going to decide my fate. And it's just like a very, 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 this dance is a very big deal. Okay. So in between Corey inviting me to semi and the actual event, there's like a month that passes, or like 3 weeks. During that time, a couple things happen. One, Katie has a party when her parents aren't home, and this kid gets like alcohol poisoning. I'm not laughing. It wasn't funny. It was actually terrifying. And then like her neighbors, who are obviously like, oh, like the parents aren't home, there's a lot of like kids there, comes over and like busts the party up, and she gets in a lot of trouble. So that's thing one that I write about. Thing two is things with my parents are, I would say, getting pretty rough. There's an entry where I say, Mom flipped out today. God, I hate her temper. I see it in Genevieve sometimes. Dad was crying today. He thinks that we hate him. I don't hate him, though, because he's family. I love that guy, even though he makes me mad sometimes. There's also an entry where I talk about how my mom basically confronts me and asks me if I am smoking weed because I get in her car and apparently I smell like weed, and she bakes me brownies when I get home, like as a munchie. So basically, like, yeah, things at home are getting harder, and like there's more and more tension at home. Another thing that happens is, there's this entry where I say, Dad just told Genevieve and I that there are new rules. No staying out past 1 a.m., no staying over at boys' places, no going out on school nights. I guess I have no choice but to accept them because I know in my head that they are reasonable. Genevieve is mad. Fraser was going to ask her to stay over at his house this weekend, and now her plans are ruined. And she said it's a bad sign, like the stars are against her. Everything is wrong. And then there's you. I don't even know who the you is at this point. I have no idea who I'm writing about or who the you is. That's how conflated all of these people are at this point. Things with Grant are also changing very quickly. There's 3 things I want to share. One is this entry that I start that just says, "What are you so afraid of?" Early on December 2nd. I'm not scared. I'm not scared of Grant. I'm not worried that he'll treat me bad or will be jealous or abusive or mean or that he'll tell me what to do or put me down. I'm not worried about those things because I know he'd never do any of those things, and even if he did, I know I could deal with them. That's like pretty bold for a 15-year-old. I'm partly scared, though, that he'll be too good to me. I'll never deserve any of the nice guys that come around, and I especially don't deserve a nice guy like Grant. I'm scared that he'll waste all his goodness on me. Oh my God. Oh my God, Yoda. I'm scared that he'll waste all his goodness on me and will never give me a reason to back out if I have to. It just scares me because sometimes I just need assurance that things won't last forever. And I'm really worried about disappointing him too. I'm really concerned about the fact that he's had Genevieve, meaning like they kissed one time, and I wouldn't be anything compared to her. No guy in their right mind would go from Genevieve to me because I am a disgrace compared to her. And the only reason Grant is going from me to her is because he can't have her. But I'm just scared that everyone will say it's true. I'm scared that me and Grant will start stuff and that one day he'll realize that he's in love with my sister. He'll realize she is so much smarter and hotter and funnier than me, and he'll say, "See you later," and he'll get his second chance with her that most guys around here only dream about. I'm used to being second choice to her, but I just don't want that to happen with Grant, and I'm scared because maybe it already has. Okay. This is very layered. Very, very layered, where I am professing my, my biggest fear and, the real root of, what the fear is. Most of all, though, my fear isn't how he'll be or how my sister is. It's about how I am. It's no longer just a cliche for me to say I push people away, because I do. I have. And I know that it would just break Grant. So I'm in a position to hold on or let go. My head tells me to let go because I am so scared about me and him. But my heart is telling me to hold on tighter than I ever have. And that scares me because he has totally made me ignore my head for the first time in my life. So, things are getting deeper with this person. Things are getting deeper. I have this whole entry where I draw pictures of every little thing we've ever exchanged. So I say, Grant gave me a gift. It seems like a slight tradition of ours to exchange thoughtful presents since we met. It started with a green lighter I gave him on the first day of school. And then I draw a picture of literally a green lighter. Then it was a piece of green tape I gave him. Again, I draw a picture of this green tape. And then the piece he gave to me, which I made into a bracelet. Then he gave me a piece of string that he thought would make a good bracelet. Then it was the bell I gave him. So he gave me his favorite thing, his roll of green tape. We're exchanging fucking tape and poppies and lighters. Then it was the 4-leaf clover I drew for him, and last night he added a new thoughtful gift. He brought me a chocolate from an advent calendar that was from December 18th. That was in a mushroom shape in a dime bag. Oh my God. That is so unhinged. Holy fuck. Okay. I say I talked to Grant a little more. I actually told him about mine and Genevieve's little talk, and I ended up telling him about Corey. I said sorry for making him sad, and that I'm just slow when it comes to these things because I'm so bad at them. It sounded like he didn't really believe me, which could be because both of us were very drunk. So I grabbed his hand and a permanent marker and wrote, "You're mine," on it. He grabbed mine and wrote, "I can't quit you." Okay, that's one. And then the third thing that I wanted to say is this night where, like, okay, this is like kind of fucked up. So this is on December 12th, so this is like about a week after that last entry. And I skip a party at a friend's house so that I can stay and hang out with Grant. Like I skip a party and go to a different party knowing that Grant might be there. And we have this conversation, this flirtatious conversation. When I went back into the living room, there was some big secret, I wrote in quotations. I really wanted to know. So Fraser took me into the coat room and told me that the secret was that Grant loves you. Genevieve confirmed it later, saying he did say that. But then she told him, if you don't want to freak her out right now, don't say that to her. It's weird because in a way, I think it makes me and him take one step backwards. I feel like he lied to me when he said he wasn't going to be like all the other guys, because this just seems so typical. I love you. I mean, what is that? It's just saying 3 words, 3 stupid little words that mean nothing. I don't believe in love. Yes, you do. Not for me. But in a way, I think about it and I smile, because maybe he said it because he wants to go forward, or because he thought I wanted to hear it, or because he thought of me the way that movie stars think of other ones in movies before they say I love you, or maybe because he feels it. Who am I to say he doesn't feel it? Maybe to him it means something. Who am I to say we're typical? Love isn't typical. Love is love. Love is love. Wow. So Grant's in love with me, and I'm about to go to the semi-formal dance with Corey, who I've been pining over. On December 14th, which is a few days before the semi-formal, I write, for the first time last night, I looked at Grant and saw some things that I saw in Corey. This is a boy who made me feel, this is about Corey. So Corey is a boy who made me feel hot and made me feel like I wanted to touch him. And last night, whether he had any clue he was doing it, Grant made me do that. I was just looking at him and I wanted him right then and there at that very second. Something about his skin and his hair and the form of his body at that time. Guys, I am not trying to be mean. Like, I think at that time, this was a very good looking, like, man boy. But, like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I was just like, I had love goggles on is what I'm trying to say. Again, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not saying like there's anything wrong with who this person is or was, but like that entry is, yeah. And then I go on to say, there's so many things to like. How he hates drama, how he loves music, how he's not a tool about pot, how he calls me Scarface, how he makes things easy, how he knows what he wants, how he makes me smile. He smiles when he sees me, and he sees me differently than any other guy. I think I've been waiting for Corey to see me this way, but he never has, and he never would. He sees me the same way that all the other guys did. He sees me as just another girl, and I think Grant sees me differently. And I think that means something. I've got to. Okay, so that's how I go into the semi-formal. Okay, so I make a prediction before the semi-formal, I write, this is my prediction. This is 5 p.m. on December 18th. The prediction is Katie and me are going to get ready. I'm going to feel ugly next to her, but I'll stop off at Jay's and he'll make a big deal out of my heels and it'll make me feel pretty. Then we'll arrive. Mel and Amanda will giggle at me. I'll have 5 or 6 people tell me how uncomfortable my shoes look. I'll tell Dave he cleans up nicely. Me and Corey will meet and he'll give me a friendly hug and we'll dance and maybe we'll talk, but maybe we won't. I'll leave and give Corey a hug and tell him to have fun in Florida and I will go to sleep thinking of Grant. This is a big test, people. This is a big test for a 15-year-old girl. Here's what happens. This entry just starts. This is after semi. Wow. That's all I can say. That night was perfect, but also so strange. I got ready. I did not feel pretty at all. Instead, I felt very disgusted with myself. How could something I put so much time into fail so miserably? Katie and I rushed to get ready, and I left the house feeling ugly and bitter. Stopping off at Jay's did not help. Jay did not seem impressed with my outfit, as I had hoped he would be. We drove to Megan's first, and I got hugs. Cassie, Ben, Jeff, Jesse, Megs, Sarah, and Bush were all there and tried to cheer me up. Cassie asked, "Does anyone else think Yodi looks pretty?" Corey shouted, "Me." We got inside the gym, and I was looking around for 2 main people to show my outfit to, Amanda and Mel. They both gave me compliments. It's weird how when strangers tell me I look good, I believe them, but when it's from family, I don't. Maybe I just don't feel like they have the need to lie. I walked around, and here are a couple of the events. Then I just list like a bunch of events of like having conversations with people. I say, I danced with Steve. I told him he smelled nice and he was a good dancer. He told me how he was wearing the pants from last year's semi-formal and that he found mine and his invitation in his pocket. I tried to hold him close and rub his back for old time's sake, I guess. I don't know. It was weird because even though certain feelings for him have faded, other ones have only grew. So I'm dancing with Steve, even though Steve is literally there with my best friend. They're not dating, but they are into each other. Being with Corey was great, too great. He told me I looked good when I first saw him. Then he said it a few more times. We danced for a few songs. We talked a lot while dancing. I told him how I wanted to dance with him last year and how I liked him, even way back then. It just felt really right. We held on tight, and I buried my head on his shoulder and had me breathing on his neck. It seemed like we weren't there as just friends because he held so tight and caressed me. We danced old school. Oh, I remember that. He didn't want to dance like, you know, typical like girls' hands on both the shoulders, guys' hands on the waist. He wanted to like hold hands, like old school. We danced old school, and he brushed his fingers along mine, and it made me feel so good inside, safe. We had a really good time. It was not awkward or weird. At one point, I led him through the crowd by his hand, and he just smiled away. I wore his tie, and we set a balloon into the ceiling and found our snowflake on the wall. It was a very perfect night. My favorite part of the night with Corey was at the end. During the last song, we just found each other and danced. We didn't speak at all, but just held very close and swayed along. I looked around at everyone else, and I wondered if anyone was as happy as I was. Steve was alone. Sarah was with Ben. No one had it as good as me right then and there. I felt like I was in bliss. I honestly felt like I could have stayed with him forever, regardless of the fact that my feet were in pain. It was like torture because I knew the song was going to end, and this would be our last romantic moment before Grant comes along and claims me. There was not enough time to tell him everything I wanted to say, so I maintained a sweet distance and started to cry a little. I don't think he noticed, but I know Steve did. So he urged a smile. I wonder how he felt. Happy, jealous, worried, proud. I do not know what all of these feelings mean, but I know that now, as I lie down tonight, I will be thinking of Corey, and that tomorrow I will be spending my night probably with Grant. I feel so torn. Wow. So many memories flooding me right now. Okay, so I'm nearing the end of this diary. The next entry, like, I think I'm actually having a really hard time. The next entry is all caps. It covers the page. Like, I only write this way when I'm super duper anxious. It says, like, in big, big letters, it says, I feel like I'm going to explode. Letting go feels so hard, but holding on to you all this time was so painful. Do you love me? Please say you do. I think I love you. You break my heart. So I have this beautiful moment with Corey, this, like, moment that I've been waiting for like, a year and a half since I met him. I have partially accepted that him and I aren't going to be together because of, like, all of the signals and facts I've been getting. But I'm also like, wait, do you like me? Because the way you held me last night. And then I'm also, like, going back to my regular life without the romance of, like, this big semi-formal dance. I'm being, like, courted by this great guy who is probably maybe a better fit for me in this moment. And I don't want to hurt him. I write Grant a note a couple days later. I don't send it, but I write it in my diary, and it says, Dear Grant, when I asked you what you wanted, you said all of you. I cannot grant you that. I can give you my mind. You are in my head enough that I believe I can offer it to you fully. And I can give you my body. I want to so, so badly sometimes. And I can give you my spirit. You lift it up high enough that it already rightfully belongs to you. I cannot, however, give you my heart because it is with someone else. The last entry I'm going to read, it's kind of fitting that it's the last entry, and I'm not going to lie, it's a bit of a cliffhanger, guys. Basically, it's like I'm at this house party. So this is December 22nd, a couple nights after the semi-formal. Ugh, I have a cold. My throat feels so raw and my nose is so runny and stuff. My head feels so heavy. I want to write about Saturday night, though, before I forget about it. I don't think I'll ever forget Saturday night. I can't remember all that much of the night before 2 a.m. or so. When Fraser left at 2, me and Grant laid down together and had a really perfect time. We had an intense conversation. He said, it's weird because I've been looking so hard for 2 years now and no one has ever seemed right, and you were under my nose this whole time. We made jokes and laughed, and he touched my stomach and back, and I think if I hadn't have been sick, I might have jumped him right then and there. Grant said, I can't wait to get you back to my house. That made me happy but really nervous. Then, as I left at 9, again, this is 9 a.m., people, he handed me a gift and made me promise not to open it until Christmas Day. I gave him a hug. He hugged me so strongly back, so I gave him a quick kiss, just so he knew I was serious. I don't regret the kiss. Maybe I should, because maybe when we go back to school, I'll be all into Corey again. But for some reason, I just don't regret it. ... So, Grant and I are going to have, like, we have basically what his advantage is like, we're about to go on Christmas break. We are on Christmas break from school. So I won't see Corey for about 2 weeks because we won't go back to school until after New Year's Day. So for the next, like, week or two, Grant has, like, home team advantage, and I've just given him a kiss, and we've just had this intense conversation, and I've been writing about how I feel like maybe I don't deserve him, but how I'm really into him. And although I did have this, like, big romantic moment with Corey, I've also felt very, very let down by him in the past. So, I'm going to leave us here on this cliffhanger. You're going to have to wait until next week or the next couple weeks to hear what happens. But If you thought this diary was full of drama and a bumpy ride, guys, just fucking wait until you hear the next episode. I'm going to be going into, it's going to be 2004 before we know it. I'm still in grade 10. I'm 15 going on 16. So many things are about to happen. Oh man. It's wild. This one was a doozy to read. I honestly didn't even get into every entry. Things with my sister resolve themselves. Things with Katie resolve themselves. But basically, I am purely focused on this love triangle that I have put myself in. It's more of a love square, I guess, or a love star. Yeah, it's more of a love star because I am into so many people and they're into other people and they're into other people. And it all comes back to the same question that I've been asking for a year and a half about Corey, which is like the will he or won't he love me? And I'm starting to realize that, no, he won't. And I need to move on and I need to move forward and then enter this beautiful human that I'm starting to fall for. There's a twist, though. There's a twist coming. And yeah, I'm excited for the next diary. I'm nervous for it, too, because like I said, I know what's coming and frig, it's a doozy. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for listening. I'd love to know what you thought of the episode. I'd also love if you want to come on as a guest. Also, if you are somebody who is interested in starting a really robust writing practice, or if you're working on a book, I help writers achieve their writing dreams every single day, and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at www.doulaofwords.com. Until next time, big love.